Welcome to Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. B for brand, D for development, and M for masters. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By watching the Follow the Brand TV series, you will learn how to differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients. As the saying goes, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaw@5starbdm.com. Now, let's jump into our next episode on Follow the Brand TV.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaw, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-Star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaw explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
Welcome to the Follow Brand TV broadcast. I am your host, Grant McGaw. Today, I want to talk about financial literacy in the Black community. Closing the racial wealth gap isn't a simple fix, but many experts say education and financial literacy can help. Did you know in 2019, white Americans had a median family wealth of $188,000, while Black Americans had a median family wealth of just $24,000? Home ownership had a lot to do with this statistic. Lawrence Gonzalez is an auditor for the U.S. Department of Treasury Office of Inspector General in Washington, D.C., who says healthy conversations about personal finance often didn't exist in Black culture. People don't or haven't wanted to discuss money, understand it, or grow it. There's almost a mysticism around it because not enough people understand the concepts. My guest today, David Lee, is a longtime security expert turned media and financial expert, giving back to the community in unique ways. He frames a story to help others achieve their business and career goals. He defines financial empowerment as an endeavor to understand the system of finance that has been created. He wants us to walk into this world of opportunity with the confidence to succeed financially, teaching and empowering everyone that they can be great at multiple things and staying unfocused is David's philosophy. He unpacks a transformative story that took him from California to Australia that changed his life view. David Lee is a man of many talents. He is the identity Jedi in the identity and access management space with over 15 years of experience helping Fortune 500 companies understand the way of cybersecurity. David has run the gamut regarding identity from engineering to consulting to business development and product management. He has become one of the most knowledgeable and sought after experts in the field. David is also a passionate advocate for financial literacy within the African American community and the co-founder of the On the Corner Media Group, a multimedia company focused on empowering Black Americans through education and entrepreneurship. When he's not building a media empire, breaking down financial barriers, or demystifying identity, he enjoys playing golf, a good book, or playing video games with his friends. Let us welcome David Lee to the Follow the Brand TV broadcast, where we are building a 5-star brand that you can follow. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special week on Follow the Brand. We've got Mr. David Lee. And if you're not familiar with David Lee, you will be. I love David Lee because he comes from the same world that I do, information technology. He is a cybersecurity expert, but he has made a pivot into media that he's doing a lot around, and he wants to talk to our audience about financial empowerment and why that is important for him and to all of us. So, Mr. David Lee, you'd like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Grant. So like you said, my name is David Lee, long time cybersecurity person, almost just about 20 years in cybersecurity space, but now focus and run the EBONY ASCENT platform, which is an online media platform for empowering Black and Brown voices and telling our stories, and really helping highlight key areas. Financial empowerment is one, mental health, and just success principles, right? So really kind of giving back to our community, our stories, our voices, our time. So it's been a very interesting twist to get here. A lot of people look at me and go like, "Oh, you're using cybersecurity identity, now you're doing this," but it all comes together, right? Everything works in mysterious ways, and so I wouldn't change the path that I've been on for nothing.
I think you are right, because I've been in information technology a long time, and I understand those 4 or 5 different things that I focus on, like primarily with personal branding, with business development, with career development, financial empowerment, and then technology innovations, which we'll have a series on that as well. But I found you to be a very curious person. I like your swag, man. You've got a great, way of presenting yourself. You've got a personal brand website out there. You've got a business brand website out there. So I just want to ask you right now, before we even get deeper into financial empowerment, is that if there was one thing right now that if you knew back then, how would you have begun your career a little differently?
I would have started branding myself from the jump, man. If you gave me a time machine right now, I would go back to my 24-year-old self, getting the first job. It's like, hey, man, do your job, learn your skills, but focus on your brand. Like, find ways to stand out, to own your voice, to own what it is you do. Believe in yourself. I think a lot for me in the beginning, I came out as a comp sci major, and I was just like, okay, I'm not the best programmer, but I feel like I can get better. Like, I was just constantly like, I'm just gonna sit back and chill, make myself better. And then I started realizing, I was like, wait, y'all don't know this? I was like, oh, okay. And I started finding myself in rooms where all of a sudden senior architects are looking at me like, well, David, what's the answer? And I'm just like, oh, okay. And it just took me a while to be comfortable and walk in that. So if anything, I would tell myself is like, look, believe in yourself. Start putting your brand out there, not in an obnoxious way, but start a blog earlier, start doing other things, start speaking in little meetup groups, things like that. I would have pushed myself to start doing that a whole lot further. I just kind of, like most of us talk, put your head down, get to work, kid. And that's all I did. And I think I did that for a little too long, but
During this show, I will recap some of the conversations that David Lee and I had on the Follow the Brand podcast, season 4, episode 10. To further understand the complexities of achieving financial empowerment. The internet has made financial information more readily available over the last 20 years. Mobile banking, investment apps, and online resources have helped level the playing field. However, in 2018, just 1/3 of Americans could correctly answer at least 4 out of 5 financial literacy questions on concepts such as mortgages, interest rates, inflation, and risk, according to a 2018 Financial Industry Regulatory Authority study. I encourage you to check your financial literacy by going to website www.usfinancialcapability.org/quizzes.php. Now I'm going to say that one more time. That's www.usfinancialcapability.org/quizzes.php. Now, the quiz measures 8 critical areas of personal finance knowledge: earning, consuming, saving, investing, borrowing, and managing debt, ensuring comprehending risk and uncertainty, and go-to information sources. Minority financial experts agree that strengthening financial literacy, the ability to use skills to manage money and resources effectively, can be the key for African Americans to achieve a lifetime of economic well-being. While not a cure-all, the National Urban League believes increased financial literacy can lead to improved financial capability and practices that benefit even those with relatively low incomes. We also believe that future initiatives that aim to bridge these gaps must better target the needs of specific demographic subgroups to succeed. Financial literacy combines financial knowledge with attitudes, skills, and behaviors, which are essential to making a financial decision based on personal circumstances, and helps improve your financial well-being. Undoubtedly, being financially literate will assist in influencing financial decisions. The ability to make financial decisions and improve economic well-being are 2 essential aspects of the definition of financial literacy. However, financial literacy concepts have failed to highlight the economic issues associated with complex financial environments. According to traditional financial literacy framing, anyone can be considered financially illiterate for not having enough skills or knowledge regarding finances. Researchers have learned that people with low incomes can possess the same decreased bandwidth in decision-making as those suffering from personal or other stressful situations. Being financially literate can be difficult for people living in poverty who struggle to change their financial conditions. Financial assets may also affect lower earners adversely as they fall into the bank fee poverty trap. This trap occurs because they own no mortgages or cannot meet minimum bank balance requirements. Financial literacy should include an individual's capacity to reflect on the critical consequences of their financial decisions. For example, individuals may face financial dilemmas, which include stressful situations such as sudden expenses or unemployment. It is highly rational, therefore, that people with low income can be the best budgeters due to the implementation of their practice survival skills. For instance, an individual's financial decision may be conflicted if there is an option to either pay rent or feed the family. A lack of financial literacy does not affect these decisions. Rather, low-income families may have a limited stronghold over their financial matters. Now, tune into my conversation with David Lee to get his definition of financial empowerment. Financial empowerment for yourself.
For me, it's all about understanding the system of finance that's been created, right? And I always like to explain it like this. So let's say you and I, Grant, we come up with this secret formula of how to create gold. Like we can just, whatever we do, we create gold. Like, and it works every single time, right? So me and you get excited because we're like, man, we can turn anything into gold. We go, okay, look, now Grant, what we're not going to do, we're not going to be those types. We're not going to keep this to ourselves. We don't want people to say that we lock this away and all this stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to write it down, the full recipe, right, of how exactly our recipe works of how to create gold. But here's what we're going to do, Grant. We're going to come up with a special language of how we describe these steps. Now, we'll put out there the information of how to decode it and how to find out what this language means. We're going to make everything available to you, but we're just not going to write it in plain English. We'll come up with a code of how we're going to do this recipe of making gold. And I tell people that's the world of finance, right? When you step into finance and look at everything from like investments, you start throwing up like PE ratios and dividends and all these things and breaking down analysis on like balance sheets and income statements, all these things, monetary policy, what's fiat money, all this stuff is really the recipe of how finance works, how money works, and the financial system that has been created. So for me, financial empowerment is understanding what that is. And now that you understand the language that's being used, you understand the terms, you understand how the financial system is set up, now you start to understand the true difference between an asset and a liability and why it matters. You understand how to use debt because it's really a service tool. It's a financial tool, right? It's not something that, man, I grew up, I was always in debt. It's not in debt. It's you were using debt as a tool, but you were using it the wrong way. It's like if I told you to go dig a shovel in the backyard and you wouldn't grab the pencil, right? Yeah, it ain't the pencil or the shovel's fault. Like, why are you using the pencil to go make a hole? So it's understanding that system. Then it's kind of like, as I've worked with clients and I've kind of explained different things, how interest rates work and broken all these things down, it's like, they're like, man, I see everything different now. It's like walking through the matrix. And now you're just like, oh, wait, this makes sense. You start looking at something and go, wait, that's a 1.9% APR. Wait, I can do what with that? Like, oh, wait, what do you mean that now I can borrow this money over here and then buy this asset over here. And as long as the income I'm making off this one services that debt, then the rest is profit. Oh, wait a minute. If I have this asset that I can then depreciate and then it grows over time, instead of creating income, I now have capital gains. And that's this tax less than if I own a business and things run through the business and business pays taxes different than personal tax. Like, it literally starts to become this thing and you're walking in. And now when you walk in life, you see opportunities. That's financial empowerment to me. And that's how I describe it. That's how I work with people that I work with when I'm helping them go together. It's like, I want you to walk in this world and look around and see opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, because you understand how finance works and how you can apply it for you instead of a tool that's being used to oppress you, instead of a tool that's being used to go against you. Like, I got this credit card debt that's just weighing on me because I don't know how to properly leverage credit and debt because I don't understand what they are. I'm just doing what everybody else is doing.
How did you feel as David talked about understanding the financial system as a language of codes that leave most mystified as to how our monetary system works for and against you if you don't know how to decipher the code? So how did we get into this financial predicament as a people? Redlining was one of the earliest forms of institutionalized racism. It allowed lenders to offer increased rates to customers in specific neighborhoods based on race. Although this was outlawed in 1968 by the Fair Housing Act, it can still occur today. A 2018 National Community Reinvestment Correlation Study found that 3 out of 4 neighborhoods redlined 80 years ago are still struggling economically. Unfortunately, the complex system tends to confuse all who come across it. Although it is frustrating, it is essential to understand that you can better understand what is going on with your money. US banks make money from the money that you have put into your bank account. Whenever you put money in your account in the United States, that money gets moved to a large pool of funds used for other people to buy homes, cars, or finance their businesses or child's education. So how is a new generation of leaders overcoming a legacy of discrimination and mistrust? According to the American dream, the opportunity to succeed, provide food and shelter for family members, education for children, hope for a better life, and freedom of opportunity requires capital in 2022. Payday loans, cash advance loans, check advance loans, post-dated check loans, and deferred deposit loans are short-term, high interest rate loans provided by check cashiers, finance companies, and others to a clientele that mainly consists of low and moderate income working people who have bank accounts. but who lack credit cards, have poor credit histories, or have reached their credit limits. So I ask you again, how do we get access to capital? Whether you're hoping to buy a home, rent an apartment, or use a credit card to purchase your next vacation, having good credit will make these financial transactions more accessible and affordable. Why is it essential to establish good credit? Because better credit equals better financial opportunities, and in many cases, better economic outcomes. Unfortunately, not all Americans can easily access the resources, tools, and experiences that help people build and establish good credit. One of the big factors affecting Black Americans and credit scoring is how things are scored. Now, this is explained by financial planners, often when we're referring to the African American credit problem. They have served on boards and they run financial controls, and they understand what it takes to get mastery in this area. Black Americans are 30% less likely to be homeowners, for example. But credit scoring does not include rent payments. I know many people who pay their rent and utilities on time, but those payments are not factored into their credit. Ultimately, many of the issues in our system affecting Black Americans boil down to a lack of multi-generational wealth and inadequate representation in the banking system. When you have a community of people who have been historically denied access to the types of financial opportunities that create wealth and whose everyday economic activities such as rent and bill payments are not represented in our current credit scoring system, you end up with a problem that is not only a racial wealth gap, but also a racial scoring gap. Black Americans have been left out of the credit building conversation, which has led to a massive credit gap. If Black Americans understand the credit cycle and usage analysis, they can save on fees, high interest rates, and other unfavorable terms. Taking those savings from potentially high interest or high interest loans, then investing that money into a high yield savings account and contributing to an IRA or other investment strategy can help put them on a path to closing the racial wealth gap. If you're having trouble opening a line of credit on your own, or if you're still too young to open your first credit card, you might want to consider becoming an authorized user on a friend or a family member's credit card. When you become an authorized user on another person's credit card, any activity on the card has the potential to become part of your credit history and improve your credit score. It's incredibly low risk and high reward. Unfortunately, the person who allows you onto their credit account takes on slightly a higher risk. Now, this is very good for students when you're working with your parents, or obviously somebody that you trust. You can have a spousal relationship and the like. Well, this is a way to start building your credit history. Now, since they are legally responsible for all the balances charged up to the card, you must ensure you don't make any purchases that max out the credit card or create unwanted debt. You must be careful about who you add as an authorized user for the person that actually owns the credit card. Now, another good way to build credit quickly is by applying for a secured credit card. With a secured card, you put down a small security deposit, often around $200, and receive a small credit limit. This allows you to practice using credit responsibly and build a positive credit history. You'll establish a history of good credit habits by making everyday purchases on your secured credit card and paying your statement balances on time. At that point, your lender will likely return your security deposit and graduate you with an unsecured credit card with a higher balance. Sometimes you may not need to become an authorized user or open a secured credit account to start building your credit history. Many people with no credit history or limited credit experience can successfully open a A starter credit card, especially if they already have a checking or savings account with a bank that issues starter lines of credit. Now, starter credit cards generally have lower than average credit limits and may offer fewer rewards than today's top credit cards. But a sound starter card is a great way to start building credit. Now, it's suggested looking for a starter card that doesn't charge an annual fee and recommends building credit quickly by using the card to pay small bills every month is a good way to use the credit. Another good way to establish a positive credit history is by working with a credit union, especially if you can find a credit union designed to serve the Black community. They have something which is called credit builder accounts. Now, credit builder accounts, sometimes called credit building loans, work like secured credit cards. It's the same sort of concept, but it works a little differently. You put money down and you can charge against it. If you decide to open a credit builder account with a credit union or community bank, ask them whether your credit activity will be reported to the 3 national credit bureaus like Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Now, let's take time for a commercial break and we'll continue on. Thank you.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support. Where health education is abundant. Where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children with caring mentors and hands-on activities with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
La connexion. BU. La connexion. BU.
In a world obsessed with the cult of celebrity, I challenge you not to aspire to anyone else's greatness, but instead strive to reveal and ignite the greatness within you.
Are you serious?
I totally think that's it.
Hey.
No!
Hey! To me, sexy is a man that knows who he is and what he wants. He's comfortable. You look at him, you see him, he's just comfortable being himself. And you're like,
Baby, be you.
be you, baby.
Just be you. I like it. Introducing the BU collection, exclusively available at K&G Fashion Superstore.
Know your worth and your value, right? And take pride in that, you know, everything that you are is valuable, no matter what you may be presented with, no matter what the outside world may try and tell you. Know your worth in your value, right? And there's pride in the color of your skin, your culture, your hair, everything about you, and take pride in that and walk in that. Because I think the biggest thing when we start to shift the way we see ourselves and project that out, it just starts to change the way you see things that are happening in front of you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming back. Now, to continue along this thought track, when building a relationship with a community-based credit union, you may access better credit options, financial advice, in-person classes, community building opportunities, and a lot more. So one of the best ways to build a solid financial future is by setting yourself up with a good financial education. And one of the best ways to give back to your community is by sharing what you have learned. If you can educate people, they will often take the information back into the communities to build it around, to share it amongst others so they can have a better opportunity as well. So I'm going to play now the last of the David Lee story. I hope you completely enjoy it, and we'll come right back. I wanted to make this pivot into media. You wanted to make this pivot into letting others know about how they can enhance themselves from a financial empowerment standpoint.
Yeah. All right.
Let's hear it.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it goes back. It's 2015. We are literally across the globe. I'm in Sydney, Australia. I've just been there for 6 months on a project for my current company. And loved it. Loved everything about it. Had some great friends, had some great experience. I'm packing up my things and I'm getting ready to come back home. I got this long trip back home. I'm taking a vacation for a week in Thailand. I got to stop by the Philippines and do a training. So I'm excited. I'm packing. And as I'm packing my bag, Grant, I start crying.
Oh.
And it's not one of these, and I say this not to, macho things or whatever, but I'm not much of a crier. It's just the way I process emotions. I usually just kind of compartmentalize things and I go through with it, right? If I'm crying, there's something that's really hitting me. But I wasn't sad as I was packing, but all of a sudden I started crying. And then it's this uncontrollable deep cry to where like I'm shaking. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And so I sit there and I call my brother. And he's always been, this is my big brother, right? So he's always the one I call like when I'm going through stuff. And he said, he's like, bro, what's wrong? I was like, I don't want to come back home. Like, I don't want to come back to the United States. And I was like, I think I'm gonna stay here.
Wow.
I was like, so, you know, you've got power of attorney. I was like, just sell everything, sell the house, sell the car. I was like, I'm not coming back. He's like, man, what's going on? And I was like, for the past 6 months, the weight of being African-American has been lifted off of me. It was a weight on my shoulders that I didn't even realize was there because I've been in the US my whole life. So I'm just used to certain things. I'm used to microaggressions. I'm used to people, you know, looking at me and assuming, oh, you're a football player or this or that, or I'm a thug or these things. I'm just used to all of this. And so I didn't realize I carried all of this with me. When I got to Australia, like none of that was there. I would walk down the street. Women didn't clutch their purse and walk away. They would just walk right past me. Like I was a normal person. I wasn't the black guy. I was just the American with the cool accent. Right. At the time I had long dreads and it was like in the long hair. And so I was just like, this is crazy. Right. So I was like, I was like, everybody needs to feel this. I'm not saying that Australia was a utopia, that it's perfect, but compared to what Black people go through here, it is a complete difference. So I finally kind of get myself together. My brother was like, man, because I think, you know, he went through Bible college, so he's really big into. He's like, I think you just had your Peter moment. Like you're going through your trials. You're going out. You have to figure out what this means for you. So he talks me into it. Talks me out of selling all my stuff. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna come home. Let me go on vacation first. He goes, bro, take the vacation, go on a week and just think. So I spent a week just kind of relaxing, thinking to myself. And the thing was, I was like, what was the biggest thing that I didn't want to leave? Like I didn't want to come back and have that weight back on me, because I knew as soon as I landed, it was going to come back on me. But the bigger thing was like, you know what? I need everybody to feel this.
Yeah.
I need everybody to understand like what it truly feels like to walk through life without a weight on your shoulders, to just walk through. And I started thinking to myself, so what is it that's allowed me to get here? Right. Yeah. My education, I was a computer scientist. I'm really good at my field. I was like, but honestly, like, what is it? Because this trip was provided by my company, but I could easily buy a ticket and come back and get a passport. I was like, that's it, like finances, right? I was like, but you got to be able to do it. So then it just starts eating at me. I was like, I got to work with my people. I got to find a way to give people access to this, because not everybody can go get a computer science degree, but everybody can learn how to save and invest. Everybody can kind of get their finances together and then be able to take trips and see different things. And it started building. I was like, beyond that, right? I think about where I grew up. You know, I grew up in Los Angeles, right outside of I grew up in Linwood, California, right outside of Compton in the 1980s, bro. Like, you know, like,
yeah.
So all this stuff.
Hey, you are. I felt the heaviness.
I lived through it, right? So,
right.
And I was like, so how do I get our people from there to like hundreds of miles away? And so I said, it's got to be finances. So fast forward through a couple of steps, I get back to the US. And this thing is just eating at me. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to start helping people like understand this finance stuff. And it hit me because when I was over at Australia, one of my buddies called me. He was getting ready to buy a house. I'm on the train. I'm walking through all this stuff or whatever. And he's like, my realtor said I can do this and do this. I was like, bro, look, you're a realtor. I'm not saying they're a bad person. Your realtor's trying to get you in the house. I'm trying to make sure you keep the house. You got a wife and a daughter. They're going to do whatever you can to get you in the house. 5 years from now, I still need you in that house, right? And this lady says, she goes, he's so good to have a friend like you, because most people won't tell them that. And I said, okay, so it's got to be finance. So fast forward, I come back, I learned how to do credit repair, right? I started credit repair with my brother, a business with my brother. We started helping people repair credit, working with our people, realizing that it wasn't enough. We helped some people, but then they would get their credit repair. They're like, now what? Now what do I do? And I had no answers for them. I was like, well, you got good credit now. Like they wanted to ask me about investing. They wanted to ask me about insurance. They wanted to ask me, like, they wanted to put together a full plan. And I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. So then I said, okay, started eating this feeling in my pit of my stomach, started eating at me again. And it was like, you got to do more. You got to do more. So I was like, okay. well, let me go find out about this. So then I got my license, my Series 6 license, my life insurance license. I'm studying for my 65 right now. So now I started putting together financial plans for people, walking them through everything, saying, well, now that you've got understanding how credit works, understanding how budgeting works, understanding how you can use life insurance to protect your family, understanding how to invest and start to create portfolios, mutual funds. And so now I'm having a full conversation with people and I'm seeing the lights turn on and I'm starting to see things change, not even from like it was like second or third client I sat down with, they told me, they was like, I was embarrassed to tell you when I started, but I never understood what an APR was. I never understood what they would get credit cards all the time and just sign. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what they were paying. And now after a couple of months, us working through it, they were like, I see everything so completely different now, right? Now they started teaching their son about APR. So by the time they got 18, they know what to do. And so boom, you start to see these changes. And so all of that journey is kind of what led me to get here. And the media part came about because for my company, I was speaking about IT security, things of that nature. I was at a conference, I was coming off the stage. Older gentleman comes up to me, Black gentleman, teary-eyed. And I'm just like, I don't know this guy. I was like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, hey man, it was so good to see you up there. I've been in this industry now for 8 years. I switched over late. And I've never seen anybody that looks like me on the stage, the way you were on the stage, talking the way that we talk, really owning and knowing what you know. He goes, I'm so proud of you, keep doing it. And then after that, it was a series of like people just coming to me and saying, I'm so glad you're on the stage. I'm so glad. And I realized our people need to see this. Representation absolutely matters. So that's when I started to lean into the media thing, doing more speaking. I started my podcast, I started doing these things, and the two kind of came together. I was like, there's two things I need to do. I need to teach my people about finance. I need to show them and bring them into part of like, you know, my life, what I did, and expose different things so they can see us in so many different areas succeeding and going forward. Because I'm thinking, because I went to an HBCU, I'm thinking like people know that we out here doing stuff. But as I'm starting to talk to more people, they're like, man, I never see any of us doing anything. And I was like, then that's going to change. And so the two kind of came together. We formed the media company to empower, to get more Black voices out there, to see us in these areas. Again, like I said, mental health, financial empowerment, you know, business success, and then just financial empowerment. And I wanted people to know, is like, there's so many things out here that you can understand about finance, and there's so many ways to go wrong with it too. A lot of people jumped on this. A lot of people out there scamming. I'm gonna be honest. You know, I'm not trying to call anybody out. Everybody get your hustle, but I don't want our people have been hurt enough. We don't need to be getting hustled anymore, especially when it comes to finance. I wanted to make sure that the value I give is out there. I give it all freely as much as I can, and push and give them as much information so we can just all be better and uplift each other. And that's the story, man. That's a part of the story.
That is actually, that's a great story and a calling. And you have answered the call, and you're still answering that call. And I applaud you for doing what you do. I hope everyone enjoyed that conversation with David as he walked us through that particular part of his life. And he made a pivot. He made a strong pivot because he's living out of that particular epiphany that he had. I mean, could you feel the weight lifting from David as you listen, to his story? How he found a new sense of purpose when he defined a set of strategic initiatives that he wanted to create and to empower his community. And I'm hoping that you get a call for action for yourself to understand the society in which we are fused. The more that we can leverage our power, the more we understand our power, the greater that we will become. If you saw in that commercial, that $1.5 trillion is real. That's what we generate. And we have a CAGR, as they call it, growth rate. Really, it's around $300 million per year, pretty much. That is a huge economy. I think it's the 15th largest economy in the world. And we're not even leveraging it. And as you think about that, you say, well, if that's there, we shall be rich. But no, the U.S. economy is $20 trillion. We're 14% of the population. We really should be around $2.5 trillion. So we're underperforming. If we just come together, understand our power base, and just begin to utilize what we already have, we will double our economic power. I want us to truly understand that and think about every time that you use your dollars and cents. What are you spending your money on and for? Is there a return on investment? Are you being a consumer, or are you being a creator and a producer? Are you being entrepreneurial? Are you managing? Or are you just being a tactician? You're just technically running through, the bill pay. And I hope you understood what I said earlier. One of the biggest problems, because you don't have home ownership. If our white counterparts are sitting there, yeah, they have a accumulated wealth of 188,000, but usually that is just the house. So if you're just paying rent and paying utilities, you don't have any wealth. You have nothing that as an asset that's accumulating. Cars don't accumulate assets until maybe they're 20 years old and they're antique or something like that. They're prized, but that is not good. So think about what you're spending your money on and how you move forward. So I'd like for you to listen to more of David on his journey, his ending journey, and take a listen to what he has to say about these things that we're talking about. Thank you very much. You have answered the call, and you're still answering that call, and I applaud you for doing what you do, because it is so important. This is the reason why there is a payday loan in every corner of the Black community. It's not there to help you. It's there to take. You've already been taxed to death,
right,
as a W-2 employee or a contract worker or whatnot, and they're going to take even more money from you. Yep. And this is set up this way because when you're on this wheel of paycheck to paycheck, and they know, meaning who's the finance people know, follow the money. If you take anything from this podcast, remember this: follow the money.
Follow it.
That will tell you what's going on and why you have certain businesses in your community and why they aren't in others.
Right.
And this is very, very important. And this will continue until you stop utilizing those resources and start doing other things. And a lot of that is just being more educated. I understand the ease of use. You definitely, you need to get your cash flow, but that is not a good win situation. That's just one example that I use. There's predatory lending that's constantly taking place. You talked about real estate. I get a call about every day. And if I don't get a call, I get it in the mail with somebody wanting to buy my house. Why are you wanting to buy my house?
Right.
And it all goes back to, I always remember that that movie that Lawrence Fishburne was in. And it was Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood. And he talked about some things very simply, like why there were certain things in the neighborhood, why they want you to leave, and why all of a sudden when you're gone, there's a gentrification that takes place. And then all of a sudden that property that was completely worthless is now worth a whole lot of money. Now that was been 1992. This is 2022. This is 30 years later.
Same thing.
We have to wake up and not become, a consumer society and have to become a producing society. How do you do that? Entrepreneurship is one way of doing that. Understanding your power, understanding the money that flows through the Black community in America is $1.5 trillion.
Yep.
Trillion.
That
ranks as the 15th largest economy in the world, as big as Mexico, as big as Canada. We need to wake up to our monetary worth. What does that look like? So look at the flow of the money of that 1.5 trillion and how to reutilize that in different ways and start stepping up that ladder. You like to comment on that at all, David?
Oh man, absolutely. 2 comments. Number one, the payday loans, man. It's actually my on my dream board, right? On my big dream board. It's to remove those from every Black community in the United States. I want to rip every single one out, and I'll put a financial center in. If you need money, if you need a loan, we'll give you a simple interest loan to get you going. You got to take a financial education course to get the loan. You take a financial education course, we'll drop the rate down to 2%. Otherwise, it's going to be a 5% flat, and explain to you what that interest means. I want every single payday loan ripped out of the Black community, because it's absolutely cannibalizing the Black community every single time, because our people don't know any better. As far as the 1.5 trillion, absolutely. The money that I don't think we understand as a people, the wealth that we have accumulated collectively as a people. And the problem is we're not keeping the wealth, we're spending it out and sending it out to these other brands, right? Understanding how money works and the power of assets to collect that will continue to generate wealth and bring that back into the community is so important. Because if I tell everybody this, if we could get 10,000 people for a year not to buy Gucci, but take that same money, put it aside, and then invest it into your community, things would change. Our schools wouldn't need all this stuff. We wouldn't be asking for people to give us stuff. We have it. The money is there. We just got to redirect it. So absolutely understand that Black Americans and what we spend, Black wealth is so real and it's so close to grabbing. We just do not, enough of us haven't realized how valuable we send this economy, right? And once we start realizing that and start taking that money and turning it into assets that generate more income, that then passes down to our generations behind us, man, it's going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to be a beautiful.
Well, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight on Follow the Brand TV. I had a wonderful time talking to David. I'm having another wonderful time presenting this production to you. We're now streaming not only on YouTube and on LinkedIn, but we're also live on Roku, and we'll be live on Roku going forward. So I really appreciate that. If you want to tune into any of our episodes that we have, you'll find them on our YouTube page at Follow the Brand TV series, or you can tune into all my podcasts at www.5starbdm. That's B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Until next week, take care. Bye-bye.
5-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.